I should have went the other way. We are live. Welcome back to JB's Budget Collecting and our 6th episode of Gotham City Chronicles. Number 6. It only took 6 months to get here.
It's slow but steady. This is a marathon, not a sprint.
Yep. And tonight we're going to be talking about Batman: A Death in the Family. And as always, I am joined by ComicbooksNYC, and he is coming straight from Gotham to us.
Right, exactly. Yeah, you notice the new backdrop here. So, yeah, man, awesome. I'm glad we're up to episode 6 and covering one of my favorite Batman stories tonight, with A Death in the Family. And I'm coming at you from downtown Gotham, like you said. You got the backdrop and everything. Hopefully, you guys can see me okay and hear me okay. This is all internet and lighting beyond my control, so bear with me if there are issues on my end, but glad to be here.
All right, and joining us tonight is the boy who had 7. What's going on, Matt?
What's up, man? I'm glad to be the sidekick tonight,
Yeah.
I'm glad to be here. Thank you guys for inviting me. I love this story, so I can't wait to talk about it.
Awesome. It is definitely one of the classic Batman stories. Oh, wrong tab. There we go. We'll go to the all 3 of us here. So, as always, when we talk about these, we don't really read through them like during this. We just mostly talk about things we like about the story, the art, the covers. We usually pick our favorite cover at the end. We pick our favorite thing about the story, and then we usually rank it with where it fits in our kind of Batman list.
Do we all have the same trade?
I think so. Yeah.
Matching trades.
There you go. So
I think this collected edition was first put out in 2009, I believe.
Oh yeah.
And my copy is a 9th printing. So
9th printing.
They've sold quite a few of these since back in 2009 or 10. So
I literally just got this. I did not have a copy. I don't see a printing number on mine here.
It's probably the same printing. You can see it.
Printing.
8th printing. There you go. So if you look on this page right here,
yeah, that's where I'm looking.
You can see in this vicinity.
Yeah, my front's a little different because I have a different. Oh yeah.
Matt's a sign. Look at that.
Wow. Who'd you get sign it, Matt?
Yeah, so that is definitely a different printing because the different artwork.
Good old Jim Starlin, man.
Nice, dude.
Awesome.
Do you guys have the single issues? I mean, I don't have access to my collection right now, but I do actually have the single issues of the 4-issue run.
I do not. I almost bought 3 of the 4 at my LCS last fall. They had 3 of the 4. Everything but 3, but they weren't in really great shape, so I decided to pass. I mean, they didn't want anything for them. Nice. They were pretty beat up, so I decided to pass on them.
I love into my mystery boxes, Matt.
Yeah.
So I was in San Diego last November 2018, and I had some time to kill, so I hit up a couple local comic shops while I was out there, and one of the shops had a complete set in like near mint condition raw. Nice. And I made a nice offer on it, and the guy said, yeah, sure. So I picked that up during that trip. So I haven't gotten them slabbed or anything. Probably will keep them raw, honestly, because it's one of those runs that I do like flipping through like the actual comic book every now and then. So so it's a pretty cool set to have. It's only one of the best stories, only 4 issues.
Yeah, and they're really not that expensive to get either. I mean,
no, they're very reasonable.
Yeah, they're very reasonable issues. So I'm going to shout out the chat here real quick. Looks like we got Bake the Snake joining us. What's going on? Unruly Simeon, how's it going, Unruly? And Ruben has jumped in with us. So, all right,
Ruben, how you doing, man?
So you guys want to talk just about the story? Or you want to do the art first? We usually do the art first, don't we?
Yeah, why not? Let's do some art.
Okay, so Jim, I don't know how to pronounce his last name.
I think it's Aparo, Jim Aparo. Yeah.
And I don't know that I know much else that he's ever really done.
I think he's most well known for Batman.
Yeah, is it? I do feel like it's a very classic, almost 60s, 70s Batman style for when it was written. You know, just the appearance of Batman, the costume. Joker especially looks like a little bit of a throwback from compared to when this was actually written. Like he'd started to change into more modern Joker by now.
Yeah.
Very much more 60s, 70s Joker, I think.
Yep.
So, I mean, just to put it in some context, like I believe these issues came out in the late 80s, like 88, 87, 88.
Yes, these are 426 through 429,
yeah.
Which is 20 issues or so after year one. So you're talking probably 80. I think it says it in the front.
It does have a bit of a throwback look on the interiors, in comparison to the other titles of its day, Copper Age wise, and that makes sense because Jim Aparo, he came up during like the late Silver Age and Bronze Age. Like that's where the majority of his work occurred on mostly DC titles. So that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
I haven't read a ton of Bronze Age Batman. That's kind of one of the areas of Batman reading I would like to, I don't know what the word, brush up on my knowledge a little bit better, because you got a lot of great work back in the 70s and the Bronze Age in the Batman title, especially all the Neil Adams stuff, of which I've, looked at the artwork quite a bit, but I haven't done a lot of reading. I don't know about you guys from that era.
Me either. Most of my reading is really like about year one to present is really kind of where my reading for the most part of Batman comes in. I haven't read much even before year one, just timeline wise of Batman.
Yeah.
Same. Unless you count Dark Knight Returns, which came out before, but happens in the future or whatever.
That's something I went back and read, which is true, but it's set in the future. What about you, Matt? What do you think of the art here in this one?
I loved it, man. I had the same feeling you guys did. Really got this throwback feeling. And it's funny, last night I was reading it to my kids, and my daughter on this page is like, "Dad, why does everyone have blue hair?"
It's weird because a lot of time in a lot of panels, I'm like, wait, is that Bruce Wayne or Clark Kent? I get confused a little bit, and then once he enters the actual storyline, once Superman gets into the storyline, I get even more like confused a little bit.
With the tad, right?
Yeah.
Nah, she's like, you know what, Dad? I like it like that.
Blue hair.
A lot of Smurf colored hair.
Yeah. It is funny. Like you forget that they used to do that all the time, and like everyone with dark hair is blue. It's just like Shiva and Robin and Batman and Superman, and it's just like, really? Everybody's got blue hair.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
What about not to totally move beyond Jim's work in the issue, which I also really like. Mike Mignola did these covers.
Yeah.
And that's pretty damn cool. And I would say, I could see these Mignola covers rubbing some people the wrong way. Like we were kind of spitballing a little bit about issue 427, the second one.
Yeah.
But being probably the weakest of the four issues, and I would definitely agree with that. But all in all, like the first issue, the third issue, and the fourth issues, covers I think are pretty damn solid.
Yeah, I'm not like I would be the first to admit that I'm not a huge fan of the covers, but I think they work really well for this story. They really set it apart. That this is an event. That this is something big, and it's a story in and of itself. It really separates it from like the Batman that comes before and after.
And that one that Matt's holding up right now, issue 428. I mean, that's just an iconic cover at this point.
Yeah, it's
it is. I mean,
I really love
tragic too.
428 and 429 426 is okay, and 427 is not very good. In my opinion.
427. You guys heard my joke.
Yeah.
427. It looks like, to me, it looks like Bruce Wayne's holding in something that he needs to go to the bathroom or something on that cover, and he's stuck somewhere where he cannot relieve himself. That's what it looks like to me. It's just not good. So not Mignola's best work, but the other 3 issues I can dig, especially the 3rd issue, 428, which has now sort of become iconic, and the 4th issue Joker cover isn't bad either. It's not in my list of like top 5 Joker covers all time.
No, but it is a nice. I do like it.
Yeah, but I do like it. And we could circle back around to that as far as picking favorites, but it's kind of we've already sort of given the clues on that.
Laid it out, but yeah, that one's not very good.
No, that one's not very good at all.
And like you said about Batman, and then I'm pretty sure that's Samwise in a Robin costume. Like, so that's just that's just me. But
yeah, Sam I Am in the chat pretty much agrees with us. He says the second part cover is brutal, but he likes the other 3. Makes sense. Yeah.
I've already started reading Hellboy for the first time this year.
Oh wow!
I never read a book, never seen the interior art, always heard about it.
I've read a couple random Hellboy comics here and there, but I was never really that into it personally.
I think I went through a lot, man. I read like the first 7 grades, and I was really in love with his art. And so
Mignola's great.
Mignola really works for certain kinds of stories.
Yep.
And other things, not as much. But that's just me. Like the Hellboy, the moody kind of thing, I think Mignola really, really works for that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Whereas other kinds of stories, I don't think it would work as well. But he's definitely a super talented artist. But yeah, number 2 is a little brutal. But
yeah,
I do like. I'm going to click on. Let's see. Let's bring up Unruly thing. He's talking about Aparo being like really clean art, sort of a low rent Neil Adams. I would kind of agree with that. It does kind of remind me a little bit of Neil Adams. Not to that level, but definitely, just solid kind of classic Batman art to me.
Yeah, like if you just saw the art without knowing what issue it was, like remove the text, all that, and like put it in front of me, I would have said it was a Bronze Age issue.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
And I think that fits this. I think that it's appropriate. It feels right for this story to me. It feels right.
Okay. Well, let's start getting into the story a little bit. What do you guys? You both have talked about it being one of your favorites. Why don't you?
Yeah.
NYC, you want to start with
Sure.
just the things you love about this?
Well, you get to learn a lot more about 2 characters essentially. The first and probably most important being Jason Todd, and then you get to also learn about a character that who you didn't know before, which was his mother, and how some of the mistakes that she made in her own life end up in a kind of tragic, poetic kind of way, leading to the death of her son, whom she had to give up essentially because she thought that she could, she wasn't worthy based on mistakes she made in the past, right? I mean, that's a very vague way of putting it, but it is kind of, I don't know, Shakespearean in a way, or just it's tragic. And that's kind of the one word I take away from this story, is that it's tragic, but at the same time, it's also very, very it's very groundbreaking because DC put that decision to the fans, which had never been done before. And there you see the ad with the 800 number and everything. And, that was put at the end of issue 3, right? Yeah. No, issue 2, rather, you're right. So it was put at the end of the second issue, and they had that 800 number available to call in, and then you either voted for him to make it or for him to pass on. And I think that phone number was available, or that dial-in option was available for about 36 hours at the time.
Yep.
And the difference in the votes were something like 70 something votes, apparently. Like there was only about 10,000,
Hey.
10,500 or something total phone call votes were made. So it's really a small number in the scheme of things, people that actually saw the ad and dialed in. And the difference to nix Jason Todd versus keep Jason Todd was like 70 something votes. So when you think about that, it's a pretty crazy moment in pop culture. It also elevated Batman into the mainstream again because they had this crazy ass decision. You even had people like Frank Miller, like this is ludicrous and stuff at the time. Like he was
actually 50 cents in ruling. It cost you 50
it cost 50 cents.
Yeah, I don't know if you can
So
see.
it's got so many things. It's got great writing, great storyline, great art. That's the thing that matters most at the end of the day. But B had amazing drama in culture, like cultural drama, and then it's got this tragic story. So it has a lot of different things that make it extremely unique. So that's why I call it one of my favorite of all time. It's not my favorite of all time, but it's one of my favorites of all time because you have so much to talk about. You have so much to talk about when you revisit the story, and especially if you're diving into it deeper, like we are here. You could almost do a whole show about like what if DC did something like that today. Like what if fans were put to the vote to change the storyline in today's ecosystem with social media, the internet. You'd have like video, like all of us would be making videos like, kill Batman, don't kill Batman, whatever. It's not going to be Batman, but it's just kind of crazy to think about like what those comic book fans who were like in the know about this at the time, what they were going through. So that just adds this cool little subtext to me, this whole thing.
So what about you, Matt? What is it that you love about this story?
I will show you. This
What
I love about the story. I was 5 years old, and they're having this call-in 900 number, and if he had to live, we wouldn't have Red Hood.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like it in Red Hood, like this is the man. So I'm the same. It's like so much cultural significance. By 70 votes, I had no idea that's how close it was. But if you think about it, if he had have lived, we don't have Red Hood.
Hold on. I always do research. You guys know me. So the exact was 72 votes. 5,343 votes in favor of his death and 5,271 votes in favor of his survival. And then even Denny O'Neil, who was the publisher of DC at the time, said that he voted in favor of him surviving because he felt that Batman was incomplete without Robin, and he feared that that there would be a backlash or whatever. But the fans narrowly voted the other way.
Yeah.
In the story, I like emotion. Things that get me emotional and draw me to love a character, to feel pain or sorrow or happiness in the comic books, where I really like connect with fiction. And this panel here, after his mom has betrayed him, and she's the one that set him up with Joker, and then they realize there's a bomb and they're gonna die, and he's still trying to save his mom after he's broken and beaten by that crowbar. Like,
dude, I love that page. Is so good.
It is. It gets me, man.
Yeah, that page is really, really powerful. Emotional.
Yeah. And then the worst part is Batman showing up.
Yeah.
And let me find the page, man. This right here. I mean,
that's.
I got goosebumps all over my body right now, man. It's just
imagine
heartbreaking.
I wonder if the original art for that splash page ever, when it came up for auction.
Oh my gosh, that would be.
It would be so
expensive,
ridiculous.
Yeah, now it would be so expensive. That is. Yeah.
Yep.
I mean,
good. Batman holding him right there, man. Like, gone.
Yeah.
So yeah, emotionally, this story really got me invested because you think about. I love the way that Batman found Jason Todd. He gets back in Crime Alley to the Batmobile, and this kid is stealing his tires.
It's pretty cool how they reference that again. Batman 408.
Yep.
It's very like, oh yeah, that's right, Batman 408.
Yep.
That flashback was well done.
Yeah, man. And then, you know, I love when he asks him, "Hey, are you hungry?"
Yeah.
And that's how the relationship starts.
Yeah.
He finds out he's living on his own, boosting tires to survive. His mom died of, I think it's cancer. I mean, we don't know. It's some type of disease.
Right.
Yeah, they say disease, but yeah.
His dad is killed by Two-Face. And then Batman takes him in and has him become Robin, you know, and
But he's benched at the start of this story.
he is.
He's not on active duty, and that sort of leads to his whole discovery that his mom's not his real mom, because he goes back to visit his old building or whatever, and then a neighbor gives him some family heirlooms or whatever, and then he peruses that, and I forget what the reason was. It was like, was it water damage or something like that, or something?
Yep.
Something that showed on his birth certificate that his real mother's name begins with an S, but the rest of the name was like messed up. Yeah. And then the 3 possible candidates to be his real mother comes from the address book that was also in the same
box
of items.
Yeah.
And so it's Shiva, Sheila, and what was the other one?
What was the Rayleigh agent's name?
Sharon? Is it Sharon?
No, it's
I gotta find it.
I always forget the other person. She's the
his
first
actual mom.
Sheila's
No.
the actual mom.
Charmin.
Charmin.
Wusan.
She was the Mossad agent, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Shiva was was she like a terrorist training camp?
She was in a camp. Yeah, she was in a mercenary. Well, I mean, we all
mercenary. Yeah, that's a better description of it.
I do find it interesting that, like, in here, she talks about how she's never had a kid, and then later we meet her kid is the second Batgirl, Cassandra Cain, is her kid.
Yep.
So, so that it's just an interesting thing that they end up going back to that. Her is having a kid that Batman trains is kind of an interesting way that came back full circle. But
wait, was that was for the second candidate or the first candidate?
That's Lady Shiva. Lady Shiva.
So the second one.
Yeah.
So
give the truth serum to her, and she says no. So
was that in Beirut or was that Charmin?
Charmin was Beirut.
Charmin was Beirut.
Yeah.
What was the second? Where was the second location? That's what I'm trying to remember.
No, it was Beirut too, because they met
also Beirut.
by the same blue hotel.
That's right.
Yeah.
When Batman was gonna fight Lady Shiva, I'm like, this is Lady Shiva.
Yeah.
Like nowadays, they've made her out to be so amazing. She's like one of the top 3 best fighters in DC, you know?
Yeah.
Right.
And so I'm like, oh my gosh, he's gonna get his butt kicked, you know?
It kind of does. I mean, she's pretty much until like Robin steps in and helps him.
Yep.
He's not winning.
Nope.
So
I think what's really cool though is like this is kind of like a Batman like international adventure story. In the middle, right? Especially the second 2 issues, it all happens essentially outside of the United States. You've got Joker as the villain, the antagonist. And his trump card in this is he's got a nuclear missile that he saved. Like he escapes Arkham again, but he's got a nuclear warhead missile in a storage locker somewhere. Yeah, which is kind of nuts.
Let's get into our nitpicks a little bit because I love the story too. I think it's a great story. I'm going to nitpick a little bit. Like what they had the Joker do over these 4 issues doesn't make a lot of sense.
Yeah, I would agree.
Like his scheme that they really just set it up to have him traveling so that he could be out there where they're going.
Yeah.
Like first he's selling this cruise missile that has a nuclear warhead, and then he's stealing famine supplies, and then he's
wasn't the Ayatollah
in it, and he's a
that's crazy. Think about it. I mean, if you think about the time, though, like Reaganomics and and everything going on, the Iran-Contra thing, and
I mean, when you think about this, is like and they even reference it in here. This is after the Killing Joke.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're having him do these kinds of things, and it's like that's an earlier time Joker than when this was written.
It's true.
True.
Like to do these kind of weird. That's not who the Joker had become by this point. Like,
No.
Well, I love how he becomes the official ambassador for Iran to the United Nations by the end of the arc.
like,
The first time I ever read that, I remember flipping the page, and then like Superman shows up, and Superman's like,
Yeah.
you can't do something to this guy," and Batman's like, "What are you talking about?"
Oh
And then
yeah,
Joker steps out of the limousine.
he's
I
off
remember-
the table. He's off the table. You can't touch him.
Yep.
The
I remember being
president sent me,
so-
like, dude, yeah, that got me. But that elicited like an angry, aggressive response from me as a reader, which I think proves, which is a good thing, because like you're supposed to feel that way, and it's all set up kind of brilliantly.
I wanted to punch Superman, and Batman does, and then like almost breaks his fingers.
yeah. And Superman being Clark is like he's like holding his hand, and he's like, I think I broke like a couple of knuckles. He does his X-ray vision, like, no, there's Bruce.
Yeah. Like, you're lucky I moved my face though.
I moved my face so that you can like dodge it.
That was the last issue, right? That whole UN.
No, that's the end of the third issue.
Is that the third issue?
The reveal of him coming out of the limousine is the end of the third issue.
Yep.
Oh, right. Okay.
Oh, I was so
And
angry.
the whole fourth issue is like, the setup of him trying to like destroy the UN, and then Batman and their confrontation, and
Superman undercover.
Yeah, Superman undercover, and yeah.
I have to agree with you, man. I think Joker, the way he was drawn and the way that he was characterized for the first two issues, it was a flashback. It was an old Joker, man. But as soon as he gets that crowbar, that's the Joker I imagine. And beating Jason Todd, locking the door, leaving a bomb in there, and then coming out as an Iranian diplomat, like, man, that infuriated me. And it was brilliant on Jim Starlin's part.
Comic Cat 84 is in the house. He says he tried to pull a Joker hottie.
Oh, man.
What's up, all right, I'm going to throw this out there. Let's get crazy for like 5 minutes. What if the fans voted the other way? How would you write it? Because you gotta think that the explosion happens.
Yep.
Then there's the vote. How does he survive? Any ideas? I mean, we may not have good ideas, but
his mom feels bad
and
throws herself on top of him instead of him throwing himself on top of her.
He sacrifices, and there's only one death instead of two.
Yep.
And then after all the shady things she did, she ultimately kind of
that's actually poetic.
Yeah.
He pulls her out. He comes out holding his mom instead of Batman holding her.
Right. Yeah, that's good. That's good. Damn. Boy Wed 7.
Boy Wed 7's
that's why
I was thinking along the lines of her throwing herself in front of him, but I did not think about him carrying her out. So.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Yeah,
give me the original art of that unpublished version.
Right?
What if they had that? What if they had that ready? They probably did have that ready to go.
You know what? You're right. Just like all the Super Bowl shirts that say champion and they don't ever win, so they got to send.
Guarantee you, it's in the DC Vault archive, like under lock and key. Like, dude,
the chat is on your side there, Matt. You're getting only logical way, and you're getting nailed it. So there you go, man.
Yep. All right, so okay, so that's the logical version. My version is that.
Let's hear it.
My version is that all right. So backing up for a second. If the explosion goes off and Batman is running towards it, right? Like, or wait, Batman is over with like these. He's trying to prevent the Joker lethal gas or whatever from being disseminated in the population, right? So, but then he sees the explosion, rushes over.
Yeah, he's in the truck.
He's in the truck. I imagine a scenario that wherein that the whatever the explosion is a diversion by Joker to get Batman over there, and there's some other kind of sinister thing. Like it's like Joker smoke and mirrors or whatever.
Yeah.
And you go that direction, and it turns into like a bigger action scene than what we actually get in that scenario. I don't know where it goes from there, but yours is way better. So
no, I mean there's endless possibilities, really, man.
Oh,
yeah, that's true.
There are.
I mean,
If anyone in the chat has any ideas, please throw it out there. Because this is one of my favorite things to consider, because especially because of how the vote was so close, 72 votes. Like if there was a YouTube comic community back then, we could have a completely different storyline.
Yeah, we could have. We could. So, I was 5 though, so.
There you go. Yeah, I think I was 4. So yeah.
You know what? I love. So
the other thing you get though, like just before we get into that, is you mentioned that if it goes the other way, we don't get Red Hood probably.
Yeah.
We also don't get Tim Drake.
That's right. That's true. I didn't think about that. Good job, Sam.
So there's like 2 big characters in the current version of Batman and the DCU and Gotham and everything else.
Yeah.
Don't exist in that way if you don't happen the way it goes.
Yeah.
And I do wonder, like, you know, what kind of Robin Jason becomes if he's Robin for 20 years, like in the comics. Because he was always kind of a rebellious, like even before this storyline, didn't really follow orders very well. You know.
That's why he's one of my favorites.
Yeah.
Really. My wife and I always have this discussion. She's like, Batman should have just killed Joker years ago. And I'm like, he can't, but Robin could. So my friend's in the chat, Molnir, and he says, why doesn't DC make a movie of this instead of what they have been? I think the greatest DC movie made to date is Under the Red Hood. It's my favorite of all time.
It's a great
animated one. I got that before. It's in the other room, I think. But
I mean, I absolutely love that movie, the way that they depict this story in that movie.
Yeah.
And they show how Red Hood becomes Red Hood. I mean, and he's right. If they had a live action movie of this, it'd be amazing.
Hydra Comics, what's up?
I mean, and they use this, and you forget that he was. When did they bring him back? What year was that? Was that 2005,
6,
5 or 6?
Yeah.
I have it right here. Let me find out.
I mean, so he was gone for in comics 15, 16 years.
Yeah.
Well, no, because it's 88, so 17 years. That's a long time for somebody to stay dead in comics.
Yeah, I was gonna say for comic time, that's like that's like 100 years.
Yeah, I mean that's it's not Uncle Ben, but that's a long time.
Yeah.
Let's see.
At this point, they have to reintroduce Robin altogether. I don't know what. Is he just talking about and Tim Drake, or is he? I'm not sure what I'm really talking about. There.
2003.
2003. So it was sooner than I thought. They did it sooner than I thought, actually. But it's still 15. He was gone for 15 years. So
it's longer than Hal Jordan.
I wonder why they haven't actually done a straight up animated adaptation of A Death in the Family. Like I know it was teased at some point by Mark Hamill and Kevin Conroy, but I think
they just it ultimately ended up just selling for that Under the Red Hood, which is good, but they just reference it because it shows the Joker with the crowbar and everything else, but it's I don't know. That's an interesting.
Thanks, 84. He's like, you got a killer video backdrop, even if it is.
He's talking about in movies
because of a disaster.
He's talking about in like live action stuff is where Unruly was coming from. Okay, sorry, Unruly, I misunderstood where you were talking about reintroduce Robin. Yeah, you have to introduce Robin, period, in the movies, which they've never done effectively.
Yeah.
Well, you got to introduce Batman now too. So
yeah. So that's the problem is they've never gotten where they need.
You can't start with Jason Todd. You got to start with Dick Grayson.
Yeah.
And so like it would have to be over time until you can
Well,
introduce Dick becoming Nightwing.
Not necessarily. I feel like when it comes to movie and TV adaptations, like comic fans can be a little too precious sometimes, and I find myself falling on the side of like, okay, why don't you try this new different thing? You know, I don't necessarily
Like
mind.
Pattinson?
Yeah, I love the Robert Pattinson pick as an actor, but if they announced, you know, in next month that not only is Robert Pattinson playing Batman, but you know, some other guy, young up and coming actor, is playing Tim Drake Robin, and they're starting with that, I would be perfectly cool with it.
Yeah, you know what? You're right.
You know,
I think that'd be awesome.
Yeah,
Well,
I mean,
and at this
why
point,
not?
we don't need another Batman origin. We all know where Batman comes from. I don't see if you want to start this universe off and go with he's Batman and Nightwing is out there and Jason Todd is Robin and tell this story. You can tell that story. People will figure it out. It's not that hard to figure out that, if you want to have Dick Grayson to be able to use him for movies, you can make him Nightwing. He doesn't have to be Robin. We don't have to see that.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I guess you guys are right. It'd be cool to do this story and then have Tim Drake like do what he did in A Lonely Place for Dying, you know? Like that's so cool that he figures it all out on his own, man.
I mean, look at the story we covered last time with White Knight. In that alternate universe by Sean Murphy, Dick Grayson was the second Robin.
Yes, you are.
Jason Todd was the first.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm all for it, man. These characters have been around for 80 plus years.
Yeah.
You know, there's only so many different iterations of these original origin story you can refresh and redo and re-innovate on. And, you know, Frank Miller did it once, you know, whatever, almost 40 years ago. Like people say Frank Miller Batman, and I'm a huge Frank Miller Batman. I put Year One as number one on my list, and Dark Knight Returns as number 2 on my list, maybe number 3, depends on the day of the week you ask me. But like, you know, that was almost 40 years ago. You know, 35-ish years ago at this point.
Long time ago.
So you know.
So you mentioned that. Let's start getting into we talked about it a little bit, but favorite covers from this one. We always do our favorite cover.
Yeah.
So I think this is a slam dunk, but
this is kind of an obvious one, but you never know.
So I'll go first this time. Yeah. All right.
I think we don't even have to take turns on this one.
Yeah, we don't have to. Same one.
Easy, right?
Yeah. I will say, you know, I do like it's not one of the great Joker covers, but to me it is kind of an iconic Joker cover just because
see him as a diplomat.
So to see him in that outfit and like looking all, you know, serious and like
dapper.
Yeah, that's the word I was It's so out of what you expect from the Joker. You expect your shirt, you expect the mad laughter, and you see the Joker on the cover of something, and it's so different. And it's
almost like your uncle dressed up as Joker for Halloween or something.
Yeah, and it's like 2 issues after he just beat a kid to death with a crowbar, and they're putting him on the cover like this.
And the top hat gives you like kind of Penguin vibes, even though it's not Penguin. You know, I'll just go back to 428 for a second. You know, the one that we all agreed on, and say, you know, it's the biggest key issue of this run, obviously, because that's the death of Jason Todd issue, and they almost gave away what happens on the interior of the book with that cover, but I also cannot imagine the cover being any different than that.
True.
And it's just one of those classic covers now. It's the most valuable book from a back issue standpoint of the 4 issues in the run. There's like 1,400 of them have been slabbed at CGC. More than 1,400 have been slabbed at CGC.
Yeah, I want that in the 9.8, man.
9.8 fair market value is $300, which is not that crazy. I mean, that's pretty reasonable. Yeah. You know, the other issues are somewhere in like the 100 to 150 range.
Yeah.
So
what if they had for the 4th issue? What if they had to put Joker on it like this? You think it would have worked in the time and the politics of the day?
I don't know.
Oh, in the Arab costume instead of in the like suit.
Yep.
That's a good.
I mean, this is what he's doing in the comic.
I mean, believe it or not, for the time, I think it would have totally worked.
Yeah.
For today's time, I don't necessarily.
Yeah, today's time, I don't know if it would work as well, nearly as well. But
back then, for sure.
For sure.
I like the Unruly's comment here. He says it's like rock and roll music. There's only X amount of chords, but people keep combining them in different great ways, and that's all writers are doing now, playing around with the chords of canon. It's great. I mean, that's pretty much as accurate as you can put it.
To a certain degree, that's
Chords of canon. That is dope, dude.
Unruly is on it, man.
That'd be an awesome band name or a cool novel, bro.
Canon, I like it.
We're playing with the chords of canon. Love it. What about storyline? I mean, it almost kind of can go.
Favorite issue? Can you do your favorite issue first, or
me or you?
Yeah, or just before we do. I thought you were going to rank it. Sorry, you were.
No, I was gonna say which one's my favorite issue from a
favorite
perspective. I almost would say the issue before the death issue might be my favorite because you get to see that interaction between Jason Todd and his mother. You get the cliffhanger, which is a hell of a good one. You know what I mean? And then you actually get the surprise of, hey, we're putting this to a vote, DC Nation. It's up to you. So I think all those factors combined to me almost, kind of put 427 and 428 neck and neck, and I have a hard time choosing between those two issues.
I don't, but I think it's 427.
I think it is 427. So
yeah, I think it's 427. Yeah. It's not the reveal; it's the build-up. It's
the crowbar.
It's the crowbar. It's him reuniting with his mom, and then in the same issue, getting betrayed by her.
Yeah,
and then still trying to save her life for his. That there's so many good things in that issue, and then the fact that you get, this last panel where he's, screaming his name.
He's like, "Oh God, Jason! Oh God!"
Yeah, and all he sees is flames and destruction, and then it flashes to, "Hey, you get to decide." If the rest of it wasn't good enough, that just blows it away. But I think it's the best, even without that, in some ways.
Right.
Turn to page 7 if you want to see this. Turn to page 54 if you want to see this. Do you remember those books back in the day?
Yeah, of course.
That's exactly what they gave you, the opportunity.
Choose your own adventure, man.
Yep. Man, yeah, I agree with you guys. I'm going to have to go with that issue as well.
So we agree on the cover and we agree on the story. I love it.
Yeah. Yep. The only thing that makes 428 even competitive for best is that panel.
Yeah. The Pieta.
Yeah, that Pieta is pretty baller.
Yeah.
Pieta splash.
And what I love is I feel like this is a super iconic image and it's not in there anywhere.
No.
Right. I think that was done specifically for the trade.
The trade. It probably was, but I feel like now in some ways it's become as iconic, if not more iconic than the actual image. People forget that it's not
because this is on a 10th printing and has been printed for the last decade or more, over and over and over and over again. So it's a lot of sense.
Yep.
Hey, Bear Island.
Island, what's up? Big Jack.
Anybody else joined us? Hydra Comics joined us recently. Comic at 84.
Biggie Shack's here.
Biggie Shack.
Unruly and Sam I Am have been holding it down the whole time. Thanks, guys. So, it takes something to make me look classy, Bear Island. It takes a lot. I think it's like his backdrop there. He's in Gotham City right now.
I know.
It's live.
From Gotham.
From Gotham.
From Wayne Tower or whatever.
Life Gotham City.
Playing Mario Odyssey. There you go, Bake. It's okay.
Bake's always playing video. He's always multitasking with the Switch or whatever and hitting us up over here. It's awesome.
So
he's got that kind of skills. I can only do one thing at a time.
All right, so where does it rank? All-time Batman stories.
Oh man.
Number 3 for Matt. Okay, what are your 1 and 2?
That's high praise.
I am really different than most people because most people are going to say Year One or The Dark Knight Returns, but I love Hush, The Long Halloween.
Those
and-
are, I mean, those are books we already covered, and they go up and down our list like every day.
Yeah, man.
Like
Hush, The Long Halloween, and A Death in the Family. Those are my 3 favorite, man.
yeah, man. I mean, am I next or are you next?
That's up to you, I guess.
All right, I'll go next. All right, so it's really hard for me to bump off Year One in number 1. That's the one thing I know about my Batman fandom.
Yeah.
Number 2 has been interchangeable for quite some time. It used to be Hush for me for quite some time. And then that kind of slid down the more I reread it, and we talked about that on this show. Long Halloween, I've also had the same thing where that was in my 3rd spot for a while, but it's kind of slipped down to maybe 5.
Yeah.
Right now. Meanwhile, Court of Owls has gone up my list.
Yeah, Court of Owls rocks.
From like 6-ish to like maybe 4. So I kind of have this somewhere in the 3 or 4 spot interchangeably. So similar ranking to you right now today. But that could totally change. I mean, I've only read White Knight one time, and that's one of the books that we covered, and it's outside of canon, so it's a little bit different. I'm also a really big fan of Joker by Brian Azzarello, which is not necessarily. It's like I guess it's a Batman title. You count it.
Yeah.
But so yeah, I would say it's a hard 4 or a soft 3 for me.
There you go, MIC.
I mean, it's all good though. It's all good.
Falling in the high rise.
Yeah.
So for me, this one does not rate quite as high as for you guys. And not because I don't like it. It's just I love some other stories maybe a little more than this one.
Yeah, honestly, like there's so many, like it's hard to
so I'm only gonna rank the ones we've done for this. So the 6 stories we've done for this. This would probably come in 6. So that's for me. Year One, like I've kind of, as we were reading through it, I kind of started to bump Long Halloween down. I've kind of bumped it back to number 2 for me, which it was probably beforehand.
I think it's back up to my number 3, and I have Hush at number 5 now.
Yeah, Hush has dropped all the way. It was like number 2, number 3. It's dropped to number 5. Court of Owls would be number 3. White Knight would be number 4, and then this would be number 6 of the 6. But like, there's not very many so it's like, oh, it's last, but there's not very many more stories that I would bump ahead of it. It's solidly in my top 10, like of Batman stories. It's
Are you guys Killing Joke fans?
I'm not actually a big fan of the Killing Joke.
Me neither.
I mean, I think it's overrated. I wouldn't say that it's not good, but I call it it's one of the overrated ones for me. Yeah. It's not something that I like pull off the shelf and reread every year, Yeah.
Yeah. I think all of Scott Snyder's like New 52 Batman is amazing.
Yeah, I think it peaked early and then wasn't as good later, but it was a really good run. There's no doubt about that. Like I said, I have right now I have Court of Owls 3.
I haven't read the whole Scott Snyder New 52.
I haven't read all of it. I've read through Not a Ghost, That's the Cat.
I literally was just looking at that. Man.
I think I got like I got maybe 20-ish issues into it.
Yeah. I got through
20.
Yeah, I got 2 Year Zero. I've never read Year Zero. I got through Death of the Family.
Yeah.
Bear Island mentions another one that I enjoy a lot, Black Mirror. Of course, it has my guy as Batman in that one, which is Dick Grayson. So it's one of my favorites. But
for me, I'd throw up there Batman Under the Red Hood for me, man. I just love it.
No.
Batman Venom. You guys have read that one?
No.
When he gets addicted to Bane's to the pills, and it's like Batman, he goes crazy and he like needs the drugs. It's a good one.
Yeah. So I'm really not a big fan of Killing Joke either. I don't think it's that good. I don't know. I don't think I've ever read that one actually. So
Yeah, I've never read that one.
Oh, legit, guys, you need to read this one for sure.
cool.
Batman Venom.
Cool.
He gets addicted to drugs and it like.
Hey, Conquistadors.
I mean, I like Mad Love. Paul Dini.
Came in too.
I like Paul Dini and Bruce Timm's.
Yeah, Mad Love is solid.
Mad Love.
We've considered for maybe our next one.
Biggie's calling out Nightfall. That's also one I like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm a big fan of, as an overall like Batman arc and story. I'm a big fan of, you can't tell by my collection videos the last 2 days, of No Man's Land. Like, just as a huge event, and there's so many things that go on, and I think it's a master of storytelling across writers and titles for 2+ years. Like, it's just an epic story that they pulled off really, really well. I mean, within it, there's some pretty low points. There's also some pretty high points. Nothing as high as like some of these stories, but I just think it's something I love. So
check this panel out real quick. Batman locks himself in the Batcave to go through withdrawals from the drug, and this is how he comes out.
Whoa, he looks
cool.
like Conan almost.
Yeah, man, it's nuts. You guys got to read this.
Cool, check that out.
I'm a Batman Ninja Turtles fan too.
I like Batman Ninja Turtles.
I haven't read those yet. I like the Turtles.
Haven't, JP?
I haven't read it.
Dude, so good. You need to read them. All 3 of them.
The 3 is still just now coming out, right?
Yep.
Yeah, it isn't finished.
Mm-mm.
Okay.
Venom's a hell of a drug. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Some of the more modern stories that are on the shelves now, I'm not so much into, like Batman Who Laughs. Like, I kind of am like begrudgingly picked.
I haven't enjoyed that at all.
I just have not.
It was Scott Snyder. It was the Batman Who Laughs. I thought
Batman Damned I am enjoying, but it comes out with no regularity, and
it's over.
And it's now it's done, but like there's only 3 issues, right? So
There was only 3 issues. I haven't been a big fan. I wasn't a big fan of Batman Damned. I didn't think it paid off what it set up.
I like the first issue and some of the second issue, but that's about it.
Yeah, I don't think it paid off what they set up, and I don't know if that's because of they censored some of it or what they did there. And then I gave Last Night on Earth the first one a shot.
I didn't pick it up because I'd never finished the Snyder Capullo 52 run. So I'm like, I gotta finish that first, and then I'll go back.
I didn't think much of it because a lot of people were like, Bert family was telling me that it very much is a continuation of that whole storyline. Well, he told us that during the
I read
Court of Owls.
I read both of those, and I'm in love with them.
Yeah,
I mean, I gotta back up Unruly, but the art in Damned, yeah, like I that Lee Bermejo stuff, I love that art. I mean,
it is really good.
I think it's fantastic.
I just think they started to go someplace, and either because of the controversy with the first issue or what, they didn't pay it off to me, and that's like the way I expected. I didn't think
with
Damned, yeah.
I didn't pick that one up, but I like the Batman Who Laughs, and I like the Last Night. I really enjoy those both, man.
Yeah. We'll see where it goes. I'm going to keep.
I don't know, dude. With Batman Who Laughs, like some of the printing of the dialogue is so dark. It's so dark. Like I need like a neon light and a magnifying glass to read Batman Who Laughs.
I feel you, dude.
Like issue number 5 or number 6, like the book opens with all like red text with brown background. Like it's the worst. It's the worst possible. Like
they made some terrible choices, I think, in that book.
It's like, dude, I don't need the text to be read for me to understand that Batman Who Laughs is supposed to be like a menacing character.
Yeah.
Just write it and leave the colors of the text alone, please, DC.
Yeah.
That's my one request.
I think you could do it like you could leave the text alone and just use creative like
Font.
use like Gothic lettering or something and like make it.
He already has his own font.
Yeah, make it his font and be done with it.
Yeah. What about Deceased? Have you guys been following that?
I dropped it after the first issue.
Me too.
Dude, issue 2, I cried like a baby.
Really?
Did you haven't heard what happened?
I haven't. I've stayed away from spoilers on it, thinking that maybe I would catch up on it.
Okay, I won't say anything then.
On the DC app. I don't care. Spoil it.
Yeah,
I like Tom Taylor. I like Tom Taylor's Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man quite a bit.
I like Tom Taylor's Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man. It's also Wolverine, but I have not.
Yeah, that's the only reason I picked up Deceased, because I saw his name on it and I was like,
okay, so Batman knows he's infected, and so he puts on Mr. Freeze's suit.
Oh, that's cool.
That way, that suit is cold. It can slow down the infection while he's trying to figure out a cure. So he, at the end of issue 2, man, he's in there on the computer in the Batcave, and Alfred is there behind him with a shotgun, and he's like, "Alfred, it's gonna happen soon. It's gonna happen soon." He's like, "No." He's like, "Bruce, you can do it. You can figure this out." He's like, "No, I feel my body changing now. I only have seconds left." He's like, "Do not let me hurt you." And so he's like, "This is the last information. Give it to the Justice League." And all of a sudden, you just see him like, and then boom, he turns into a zombie and goes after Alfred, and Alfred has to shoot him. Oh my gosh, look at that! The goosies everywhere. Oh,
that sounds kind of cool, but it also gives me like deja vu in the Batman Who Laughs storyline, where he's like he's turning into something, and he's trying to delay him turning into it's just I don't know.
Yeah.
Now it gets issue 3 is good too. So I would just say
I might go look in the back issue bin.
So yeah, Sam I Am's Deceased #1 was a dumpster fire, but issues 2 and 3 redeemed the series. I didn't give it past #1 because I was like, this is crap.
Yeah, I had that same feeling at the end of #1. I'm like,
yeah.
I said I'm gonna give it one more issue, and then that happened. I'm like, I am stuck with this.
Word.
Hey, we never got to some of the things I wanted to nitpick about this story, but I do just want to say at the very end in issue 4, I didn't feel like Batman did to Joker what he should have done.
Right.
So
it's away. Yeah.
Joker.
Yeah, he's like, and that's how things remain between Joker and I, unresolved as usual.
Yeah, that's my one.
Like, wah, wah, like at the end of the story, you're like, oh man.
Like,
where's the sound effect button?
Yeah.
Like
the whole thing where he's trying to get to him in the helicopter and the nameless henchmen start shooting at them.
Yeah.
And he has to and the helicopter goes down. Also, like where that bullet hits, how's the Joker survive that? Seriously?
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean,
even when Batman goes into the Iranian what's it called? The building that they have, the consulate.
Yeah.
He's like talking to him, he's like, "I'm gonna get you for what you did," and now you confirmed. Like, kill him right there, dude. Beat the crap out of Joker.
Yeah, he goes to confirm what he already knows, and then he's like, "Okay, that makes sense."
Yeah, from a storytelling standpoint, and that's probably why it ranked 6 for me. I think issue 4 is not very good from a storytelling standpoint.
Yeah.
It does not live up to the first 3 issues.
Well, it's definitely the weakest issue because you don't have any sort of dramatic reveal, and you have a letdown of a
confrontation.
Yeah, confrontation / closure to the storyline.
Yeah. It was basic. I mean, basically, they kind of wimped out of having Batman actually confront the Joker and have to make that decision after he killed Robin. He goes to confront him, and then the first time he does it, there's this whole thing with the UN or whatever, and Superman's in the way.
Mm-hmm.
But when he actually has the opportunity to confront him, they instead of having to like put Bruce in that situation of they do a better job of it in Hush, where he almost kills him.
Yeah.
than they do it here. There should have been. He should have had to been on the brink to make that choice in this story.
Yep.
And Bruce needed to make that choice to let him live because he's Batman. But like he should have been on the verge and had to make a choice, and they didn't do it.
Nope.
And to me, that's the thing that holds this story back.
Yeah.
As a whole.
Yeah.
Like is you've set this up, killed Robin, Bruce. We know what Batman is like when he's like, and they don't pay off that confrontation in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
And really, like after this, Joker disappears for a while, and then when he comes back, it's business as usual with the Joker.
Yeah.
And the two things that he's done at this point within recent years is cripple Barbara and kill Jason.
Yep.
And there's never a payoff for either one of those things.
Yeah. That's why Under the Red Hood. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there, man.
No, you're good.
When you watch Under the Red Hood, Jason goes crazy and gets mad at Batman and wants to kill him because he's like, I don't care that you didn't, do this or do that. I don't care that you let me die. I'm not holding that as a grudge. The fact that I'm ticked off is that you let this maniac live.
Mm-hmm.
And I think when they were putting that movie together and writing the stories in Under the Red Hood, they were thinking about the very thing we're talking about because Batman never gets the Joker for this.
No.
So
to me, issue 4 is what keeps this from being easily like top 3, probably for me as a Batman.
That's fair.
And it's still, like I said, it's still a top 10 story. Like I put it 6 among these things because White Knight has really like leaped into my rankings out of nowhere because I love White Knight.
That's cool.
White Knight's cool.
And so, but yeah,
you guys pick up the Curse of the White Knight #1.
I haven't got to my LPS yet, so
that's like one of the only books I read from this week.
How was it?
Behind, it was great.
Cool.
Yeah, I didn't get there last week because I was traveling for work and stuff, and I'm just gonna go on my first day of my vacation on Wednesday. I'm gonna go and get this in last week's books.
Nice.
I just read House of X. I know this is a DC night.
Yeah, that's the other issue. That's the other book I read. Those are the only 2 books I wanted to read right away in a minute, because all the other books that I'm getting on New Comic Book Day are kind of like ongoing titles that, I'm well into the series. So it's like, if I drop off a week or 2 or 3, even like, it's no big deal to like circle back and catch up. But with House of X 1 and Curse of the White Knight 1, like it's too like topical to not just like read it right away or as quickly as you can. Without catching spoilers left and right and whatnot, especially on YouTube.
JP, do you read that?
What? House of X? No, I decided not to pick that up.
No.
The 37th relaunch of X-Men in the last 2 years, I'm okay.
You know what, though, man? I think this is going to be revolutionary, man.
I really enjoyed it. Yeah, I really enjoyed it.
Well, so it kind of makes me. I'll go to this and then I'll get to Unruly's comment, which I wanted to circle back to, but that's why I highlighted it. But so I really love Tom Taylor's run on X-Men Red.
Okay.
Like I loved where that was going. I loved what he set up. And they squashed it to do a relaunch in December and November of Uncanny X-Men.
Yeah.
Yep.
And 6 months later, we're squashing that to do another relaunch of House of X, and it's just put me off X-Men. Like it's like, really, why are we like? Can we not?
Yeah, I mean, I agree that the constant stopping and starting isn't great.
It's another title weekly thing. It's basically every week again.
Yeah. Well. Yeah, with the
Power of X,
with the alternating titles, yeah.
I'm not doing that. I just Yeah.
I mean, I don't blame you. I dipped my toes in the water on that new Uncanny X-Men launch that was a weekly title last year or whatever. Did not like it. Did not like it whatsoever.
I heard everybody said like the first 10 issues were bad, like the 10 issues were weekly, and then once it went to like bi-weekly or whatever, or monthly or whatever it went to after that, then it actually got better. But
well, I had dropped it.
I didn't even do it.
I dropped it well before it got to monthly.
I was still mad that they dropped X-Men Red because I loved X-Men Red.
I never read that. I read the annual, like X-Men Red annual one.
The art in the annual was terrible.
It was terrible.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was not the artist in the regular series.
Yeah, it was like a one-off story.
But so
anyway, back to Batman.
Yeah, back to Batman. Unruly says, okay, but when I was making my point about that there's no confrontation, what can he do if he ain't going to kill him? But you have to make Batman in that situation, like the Joker's at his mercy, he can do it. And he can make the choice. I think even if you know what the choice is going to be because he's Batman, you got to make him, he's got to be there. He's got to be put in that situation, and they never do it.
The emotion and the drama should have created something different in issue 4. It should have been
like
a pivotal point for Batman.
Beat him to the inch of his life and send him to like the med ward at Arkham or some other specially designed prison that Arkham to the next extreme or whatever it is, but like something a little bit more satisfying than him disappearing like a Bond villain or whatever, like, into the ether.
So, yeah, I mean, to me, like, it should have been Batman on the verge of doing it, of killing him. Superman, like, trying to get to him to, like, stop him, but he stops himself before Clark has to.
Yeah.
And to me, that's what the drama of that scenario of Superman realizing what he's going to do and wanting to stop his friend from making that mistake, even for a good reason. And, like, I think you could have set up so much drama and tension in that book right there that they didn't do. So
I think Starlin took it back to where it was a little bit more light.
Than
the Killing Joke and the things that were coming out at the time. And so it was hard for him to go dark in that moment because Batman should have gone dark there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he goes dark. He kills Robin. Well, the fans killed Robin, but they killed Robin, and then they kind of copped out of it being a dark story. It's just, yeah. See, Sam I Am and
I wonder if the fan vote had anything to do with that or not. Like in his head, like because he clearly had to plot out 2 different outcomes. For those final 2 issues, right? He had to be prepared for 2 different paths. With no writer in Batman or really comic book history has ever had to go through that kind of scenario before.
Was there a delay, or did they come out on schedule between the fan votes and everything else? Was there a delay, or had they already just plotted the 2 different stories?
I don't know actually on the details of that. That's a good question. I don't know the gap between issue 4. Was it 429? No, 428. 428. So 428. 426 was December of 1988, and
really says on schedule. So.
It was on schedule. So
So they clearly had to have both outcomes plotted then.
Yeah, they had to plot both. Damn, man, I want to see that. I want to see that alternate version.
Me too.
From the wall. I wonder if they'll ever put that out in like some sort of crazy omnibus or like.
There you go.
He's first. What if?
There you go.
Oh, yeah. That's true.
What if Jason Todd had lived?
There you go.
It would be cool. I would love to see
from the horse's mouth, not us.
Yeah, I want to see like Starlin's version, like now, like do an Elseworlds Starlin's and let Starlin tell that story that way. That would be awesome.
That kind of makes me bummed out that like I met Starlin last summer in Vegas.
Yeah, he was at Platicon this year, and I didn't even.
And all I talked to him about was Thanos and like Infinity Gauntlet stuff because that was so like on everybody's mind at the time. And
could have asked this question.
Like in hindsight, I regret not bringing this subject up. I definitely will the next time I run into him.
Yeah, sure. I think that would be. Well, I just can't believe this long later, and as popular a story as this is, that they've never done an Elseworlds.
Mm-hmm.
Jason Todd lived, and let Starlin and actually publish the other version.
Yeah. I want to see the full, if it exists, the full thing. full version.
I would pick it like Sam Ann says DC should put it out. A ton of people would pick
I
that.
think that would be huge.
Yeah, it would be a huge seller to see the alternate version of this.
Yep. I went to a con here in El Paso like 3 years ago and met Chris Claremont. And I was talking to him about how much I love Rogue and Gambit, my two favorite X-Men. And he was like, they weren't even supposed to be together. I was like, really? He's like, no, that's not me. That was after I'm gone. Like, I didn't want them together. I actually had Rogue marrying Black Panther in the next stories that I had written. And I was like, what? And he's like, yeah, like she was strong enough and powerful enough to go in there and marry T'Challa.
Right.
So I mean, like, there's other stuff.
Yeah, there's so many possible alternate scenarios. Frickin' Stanley wanted Gwen and Peter to
he wanted her to live
together.
Yep.
They had to like hide it from him.
Yeah. So
yeah,
who knows?
crazy.
And he was like, I've heard that. I've seen like interviews of that. He was pissed when they like.
He was pissed.
Yeah.
When they killed her.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure Unruly's talking about the Rogue and Black Panther at that point, but yeah.
I think so,
Yeah.
I never heard that particular one. That's cool.
It was cool, man. We talked for like 30 minutes and people were getting mad behind us because I'm like, tell me more.
Grandma talks to everybody like 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Like, when I got in line for it's not up there right now, that his signature on that binary book, like the guy like who was my witness was witnessing somebody else, so he's like, when you get up to like 4th, Claremont's pretty slow, just text me and I'll come back. I was like, okay. I texted him when I got to 4th. He came over there. 30 minutes later, I was still 4th.
Yep.
Like it was like he was talking to this one couple and he was there forever. And then he talked to me for 10 minutes. Like his line did not move. The only line that moved slower than Claremont was Steranko.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love Jim Starlin because when I went and saw him, nobody was in line. Everybody was over with Jim Shooter and the Secret Wars guys. And I was like, so I went and talked to Jim Starlin like 3 times, man.
I wait towards the end of the day and then I approach like kind of it's like this not official line happening. Like once like the actual line dissipates and then I just like casually mosey my way up to the table and it works. Yeah, it works. So
it's cool. Dude, I had to tell some guy to leave Starlin alone. Like he comes up and he's like, hey, can you do a sketch for me? And he's like, no, I got in a car accident and hurt my hand. Like I can't do it. And the guy's like, no, but come on, like really do it for me. He's like, I'll pay you and everything. And Jim's like, no, it's okay. And he's like, no, come on, do it. I'm like, bro, leave him alone.
Dude, that's way too aggressive.
You know what this is? This guy created Thanos. It was annoying, man. It was annoying.
Jim Starlin had a brief kind of beef with CGC at the time that I met him and talked to him, and like he wouldn't CGC was at that con, but he would not allow any
CGC. Yeah, I remember
witnesses or anything.
Yeah.
So I had him sign I had him sign a True Believers copy of Infinity Gauntlet #1 that I got for free at his panel. I could have spent like $15 on a low grade copy of the real issue, but I was just like, he's here. It was from his panel. I'll just have him sign that one.
I had him sign this one. I had him sign some Warlock books, and I definitely had him sign some Thanos and Infinity Gauntlet books, man. Because Infinity Gauntlet's my favorite comic book story ever. So I had to go meet that dude.
It's up there. It's good. So what do we do next on this Batman adventure of ours, JP?
That's a question. I currently have that I don't have to go out and get that we haven't done is Mad Love.
I got Mad Love.
Dark Knight Returns, Black Mirror, and that might be all the trades I have that we haven't done so far.
Okay. I'd be up for either of those.
Either as in the first two. Because you don't have
whatever. I mean, I don't have the Black Mirror trade, but I'd be up to go get it. I mean, I've read it.
Well, we talked about, we did this sort of as a follow-up because of White Knight and the alternate version of Jason Todd's death that was in White Knight compared to this. And And then we'd also talked about following it with, we debated between this and Mad Love because of the alternate kind of Harley Joker relationship that's in that White Knight.
White Knight is just influencing our whole show.
Well, it is so far, but we don't have to stick with Mad Love. We can always circle back to Mad Love.
All right. Well, you know, in like 5 weeks when we do this again, we'll.
Hopefully, it won't be that long this time.
Yeah, just kidding. Just kidding.
Let's hope it won't be quite that long. It's almost been that long since we've done a collecting smart too. It seems like, good grief, it's been, yeah. So
that's what happened. That's what happens when everybody in the YouTube comic community has like
Bear Island has
innovations going on.
Like, because he wants to join us for Vengeance of Bane.
That's a good one.
Which is the one shot, but he wants to join us for that. And
He's my favorite Batman villain.
Yeah. And we could always try to do we could also do Nightfall at some point.
Nightfall.
I'm up for Nightfall.
I'd have to track that down, but we could do that. So I don't know. What do you think? Where are you?
I have the DC Universe app, so a lot of these are accessible to me via digital.
So I'm up for any of those. You want to go?
Well, we don't have to decide in real time now.
Yeah, we don't have to decide right this second, but yeah. So, but yeah, if we do Vengeance of Bane, we got to invite Bear Island and probably Nightfall too. So I think we're the two that he said he wanted in on. So, but we could save those for a little bit and go.
Or Biggie, I think that's his favorite Batman.
Was that Biggie was saying that? I think him or
he said he's not really a big Batman guy, but that's his favorite.
Okay, so we can always do like 4. We've talked about having 4 panel. So
more the merrier.
No, well, we'll talk off the air. We're going. We were a little long for one of these. We usually try to keep it to an hour, and we're at an hour and 16. So I want to thank everybody for joining us.
That's what happens when we do fan fiction.
Yeah, we did do the fan fiction thing. So then we talked about X-Men for a while. So.
Yeah, that too.
So I want to thank everybody who joined us. I really appreciate it since I forgot to tell Discovery Bay, and so it wasn't on the lineup, so nobody knew it was happening necessarily since we've been off for so long. I want to thank Matt for joining us for this tonight as our guest. I appreciate it.
Thanks
for having me, man. It was a blast hanging out with you guys.
You got anything coming up you want to plug?
You know what? I do.
I thought you might.
Oh, he's off.
I was gonna make you full screen.
StreamYard.
You guys kicked me off.
This is what happens when StreamYard.
Goodbye.
Oh yeah. So tomorrow I've got my 1,000 subscriber party. We're gonna be hanging out on my channel at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and it's gonna be a giveaway. And the only way you can win something is if you are there live in the chat. So come join us, please.
Yes, it should be a.
What time is that again?
7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, so 10 o'clock your time. I think. Yeah.
Where was my invite to be on the stream?
Dude, come hang out with us, man. For real.
Yeah, I mean, I've just been in this hotel room bored.
Yeah. There you go. Come on. Like,
yeah, for sure. I was trying to think of everybody, bro, and I'm like, I know I'm missing people. And
there's so many people. What's the limit on Google? Is it Google Hangout or StreamYard tomorrow?
Hangout.
So there you can get like 9 other people, right?
Yeah.
I have 7 confirmed. So like Bueller, John's Comics with
I'm
Kids,
confirmed.
You. So yeah, it's gonna be fun, man. It's gonna be fun.
Sweet.
So
all right.
Awesome. What about you, NYC? You got anything coming up? You want to?
Nope. I got jack shit. excuse my French.
So you name your.
I'm more than willing to hop on other people's streams this week while I'm at a hotel. I have no comic books right now.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, not that you need to have comic books to make a video about comic books. We kind of clearly did that here tonight. You know, we all have the trades, but it's a little, a lot of my videos, like I don't get too fancy on my channel. I do this show with you on and off between our channels. I do the direct edition squad thing. That's on a whole nother channel, so I keep my videos pretty simple, and if I have no comic books to show, it's awkward. So there you go. But yeah, I mean, I did. I'll just mention this one thing. I did hit like 400 subscribers, I guess.
Yeah.
You know, so
Nice.
I want to do. Yeah, I think about like 415 or something like that. You know,
I think we're close.
I want to get a contest going for 400, or maybe I'll call it the road to 500 or something, and I'll give away some cool stuff. And I just haven't had a chance to like edit a proper video to do that, and I want to do a video instead of a live stream hangout session to announce the contest. I want to actually do a contest video and release that. So I should, once I get back to my, actual home with my actual comic book collection.
What's the time now?
I'll do that. I'm looking at like a week.
Oh, that's not too bad.
Yeah, if it all goes well, like if I may get an update on Thursday or Friday saying, we need X more amount of days, and then that would kind of suck. But
yeah.
I'm staying optimistic, and if all goes well, I'll be able to move back, at least whatever I could bring with me to this hotel, I'll be able to move back that stuff with on Saturday afternoon or whatever. So,
nice.
Yeah.
So that won't be too bad.
We'll see.
So yeah, I don't know what I'm going to have. I'm going to try to get the weekly top 10 thing out before I leave. I'm going to be on the road visiting my sister and my niece and nephew for a few days while I'm gone on my vacation. But I got a couple days. I may try to crank something out between now and then before I leave. So I don't know. Just we'll see. I've been doing stuff kind of randomly here lately, so we'll figure it out as we go. So, and we will be back within hopefully a couple weeks for Collecting Smart, and then maybe 3 weeks for another Gotham City Chronicles if we decide what the heck we're going to talk about. So, and hopefully by then NYC is back in his home and has his backdrop. Although this backdrop is pretty
legit.
I know, man. I know, like it's pretty cool. I'll admit, it does fit the vibe, especially for this show. So,
Tacoma says, "What should he know? Batman: Death in the Family is a really good read, and if you have never read it, you should. That's what you should know, Tacoma."
that is the quick summary for sure. The clip notes.
All right, everyone. We will talk to you later.
Later.
Peace.